team. You're actually the Tomiyasu of the mods. You're never here, you're never fit, you're a good player, but you're never here. You might be subjective, and I have not seen you comment, smash the likes. But anyways, they saw him roaming around the world while being injured. They had enough. I just really liked it. I know I'm saying irrelevant things, but Wenger was big on the academy. We paid off the academy. The academy players are about. Former players have been in a number of roles. We all know about Wenger's history with Japanese players. Tomiyasu is there. You was here yesterday. So you basically played 6 minutes like Tomiyasu last season. You're under surveillance as we're trying to build this team. You know, I can't lie to you. You're under serious surveillance. But on a serious note, yeah, obviously, Hand of Arsenal drops the news and all the journalists pay homage. Takehiro Tomiyasu leaves Arsenal with immediate effect as his contract will be terminated on mutual consent. Japanese defender will be back at the end of 2025 after suffering a new injury, but his chapter at Arsenal is over, available as a free agent soon. I wonder if he'll still be allowed to train at Arsenal and all of that. I must admit, though, we don't normally do that, you know, like a man's injured. We normally give you a new deal or don't do anything like this while you recover. But if we're finding out about this today, it's got to be something that's been in the rumbling. Why specifically? Beyond the obvious, we know a man can't stay fit. But beyond the obvious, I would love to know why this is. Is this led by Arteta? Has Berta just said, you know what, I come in there. I ain't really got time for this sentimental thing. Should you argue we should have waited for Tommy? Because surely we could have made some peas. At least a 10, 15 million, maybe more. But again, the fitness. Because he's being linked with Saudi. But could he rock back up in Italy? And I do wonder, what does this mean for any additional recruitments in our team? Imagine if his wages are being used for Rodrygo. It should be Tomiyasu's wages, Partey's wages, Tierney was on big wages, Nelson's probably gone, Jorginho. Take that money and distribute it to the Rodrigos, the Gyökereses and Seskos, the Ezes, the new deals for Salibas, etc. Edu would have kept him for good relations. It's dark, man. Moving hella ruthless, and that should put a message out. Get Gabriel Jesus out. You never know, but I'd imagine, because remember, we've got to essentially come to an agreement that, you know, I don't think Tomiyasu's left for free. Like, my contract, if you were to pay it out, I don't know, it's probably, I'm making up random numbers, but 2 million. If we cut this now, you can give me 1.5. We still have to pay for Donny, so I wonder what that makes. And you know what, if that is the case, Jesus is going to be significantly more expensive. He's got 2 years left on his deal. This guy had a year left, apparently with an option of a further year. The other day, he signed the new renewal. We had no choice. He's been a sick note since he came here. And of course, I love the guy's passion, but that is no good if you can't play. Yep. There's nothing to disagree. Tomiyasu to end injury-plagued spell at Arsenal. Darkness, man, with that sentence. Tomiyasu is leaving the club after mutually agreeing to terminate his contract. The Japan international is recovering from a knee injury, having played just 6 minutes of football last season. He faces up to another 5 months out as he continues his rehab from the operation he underwent in February. The 26-year-old missed the start of last season with a previous knee injury that also required surgery in 2023. His existing deal was due to expire at the end of next season, but BBC Sport has learned that Tomiyasu and Arsenal have reached a contractual settlement to end his contract. Tomiyasu, who joined Arsenal from Bologna in 2021, made 79 appearances for the Gunners, and that sums up Tomiyasu. I love the guy. I love his attitude. We all love Tomiyasu, but fundamentally, you think of Tomiyasu, you think of injuries, and what can sum up Tomiyasu is the fact that he faces another 5 months out. He has only played 6 minutes of Premier League football, and 2021, 4 years, 79 appearances. That's horrible, you know. That's actually mad horrible. It's sad. Tierney's already left, while there's also a chance Zinchenko leaves before the summer transfer deadline on Monday, September the 1st. There's no chance. You need to cut Zinni, bro. I need Hato to arrive at this football club. You need to go. Kivio, I want you to stay, but I just see a reality where Kivio says, Gaffer, I want to go. Maybe he doesn't. Yeah, who knows? Again, the BBC have spoken. Sammy Motbell's dropped a thing. I'm going to kind of skip through some of it. We know that Kepa, Zubamendi, Nordgaard, and Christian Mosquera are people we are pursuing. Subscribe and smash the like button. We all know a striker is on the agenda, right? And we have heard previously that 70 million appears to be the kind of ballpark figure, whether that's on Sesko or Gyökeres. And there's a lot of rumors and everything in between people. Some of you are always here. We've covered a lot of this stuff. There's a lot of drama. And I must admit, I am at that point now where we can make a case for and against a Sesko or a Gyökeres or Ollie Watkins or this one and that one. Bro, just get one in it, because anything other than Isaac, which ain't going to happen, is not our first choice realistically in an ideal world, right? A move for Slovenian international Sesko has substantial backing from key figures at the Emirates, including Arteta. BBC Sport has learned the player's agent Elvis Bazanovic was invited to Arsenal's final home game of the season against Newcastle as a guest of the club. But a deal to sign Sesko has proved difficult. Sources have indicated there's still no agreement between the 22-year-old and Arsenal, let alone the two clubs. Of course, a breakthrough could come at any moment, but the suggestion is that striking a deal for Sesko has proved significantly harder than expected. Part of that might be down to changes towards the top of the club in recent months. With the Gunners' interest in Sesko well established, Bazanovic is understood to have developed a strong relationship with former sporting director Edu and Jason Ito. Now, I know it's not the same kind of thing, yeah, but you would imagine Jason Ito, who's been linked with Newcastle, and Edu, who's obviously gone to Newcastle, right? They were heavily involved in the Zubamendi deal, right? And I would imagine that when Berta came in, finishing touches on the deal, the legwork was done. I know it's not the same, but surely if Sesko was someone we've been looking at for a number of years, and you know, we were led to believe, how far does it go that Ito and Edu cutting has really changed things with Sesko? It's got to be something else. Maybe Leipzig have changed the dynamics in terms of the asking price. Maybe Sesko in the deal. Maybe Berta is pivoting towards a more ready-made target. Maybe like man can change their mind, you know. Like maybe Arteta said, you know, I'm on the Berta thing. I'm on the Gyökeres thing. Because at one point we wanted Vlahovic, and you know, nowadays I look at Vlahovic, I do wonder how it would have worked at Arsenal, because you talk about how you don't like pressing and all that stuff. It probably wouldn't have worked. Who knows, people? So, yeah, it's proven significantly harder. Let me know your thoughts on that. But with both Gon and Berta leading the negotiations, those nurtured relationships are no longer relevant. And there have been indication in recent days that Arsenal focused attention on other targets. The impasse with Sesko could, of course, be a strategic ploy from the Gunners to see if he'll accept what to them would be more favourable terms. Either way, Arsenal understood to have made headway with a potential move for Gyökeres in recent days. Significantly, the signing of the Sweden international is understood to have Berta's backing. Gyökeres was not a strong target for Arsenal prior to Berta's arrival earlier this year, but he believes the 27-year-old could make an instant impact, and it feels like he's doing all he can. You know, it feels like Leipzig are Sporting, are the ones doing the acting. My man's leaving his wife. He really wants to sign. So if he'll leave his wife to move to Arsenal, what will he do to score goals? Will he do the Suarez and Costa thing where he's biting people? I don't know, people. I know I shouldn't really be spoken about that, but we need some CUNTs in our team, man. We do. I had a conspiracy that Berta would tank the Sesko deal so we could get one Gyökeres. I hear it. Move on from Sesko and get Gyökeres. Leave this scrub at Leipzig. The Sesko's agent is Buki. I mean, Arsenal, Chelsea, and United fans, we saw that last season, because I think it must have been the same guy. Towards the end of, not the season that's just gone last year, the year before that, his agent was pictured at Arsenal at the bridge and whatnot. So who knows, man? For me, I just care about pivoting. I don't want to hear nothing about we tried. If Sesko's the one, cool. If Gyökeres is the one, cool. Just make sure I got my striker. Should have terminated Jesus' contract as well, send him to the Saudi league. There might be an element of not signing a left winger and Jesus to come back fit, but there is that. Terrell, one love, Makili. As Nathan has said, smash the like button. See, Nathan's doing his job. G1, you're getting put on the chopping block. In fact, we need to plan for next season. Certain mods are getting cut. Let's get the book out. I'm gonna have to speak with the sporting director about certain man. G1. He's on big wages. In fact, now you can't be on big wages. You're on the little man wages at the club. But we're about to sell you. It might be you might be Reece Nelson. I'm not gonna lie. In fact, you might be Lukonga. He's calm. So yeah, apparently Gyökeres was not a strong target for Arsenal prior to the arrival. Apparently he's very keen to join Arsenal. Apparently the striker, who is at odds with Sporting over his valuation, is understood to be keen. Should Arsenal sign either Sesko or Gyökeres, it is likely to cost them in excess of 70 million. So give or take, that 70 million is the ballpark figure that we want to pay for any player. Ollie Watkins is still being linked. He's said to be open to joining the club he supported as a boy. It's understood he and Gyökeres are the two players they've explored moves for in recent days. Eze's been linked with us aggressively this week, people. There is genuine interest in Real Madrid winger Rodrygo, with the belief he could be a game-changing addition to an Arsenal team expected to mount a sustained challenge for the Premier League title. But whether such a transfer is realistic this summer remains to be seen. There had been no public confirmation that Rodrygo is open to leaving Real Madrid, though it's been suggested to BBC Sport by a well-placed source that the Spanish side would listen to offers. If the 24-year-old was available, he would cost at least 70 million. So that's like 140 now, on if you do get if it all falls down, and you get Gyökeres / Sesko and Rodrygo, that's 140. You're looking at around 60 odd million quid for Eze, so already scratching the 200 million pound mark. Obviously, you throw in the 50 million for Zubamendi. It might not be the greatest of fees, but you throw in, you know, what's been spent on Kepa or Norgard and things of that ilk. We need to get some money into the club. And apparently we can spend 200 million or so. We hear war chest and powder dry, but as you know, really showing our muscles in that regards. But again, none of these guys have signed for us at this moment in time. But the obvious, we know we're linked with Anthony Gordon. That isn't going anywhere. In terms of Eze, he's on the list of our targets. He has a release clause of 60 million plus 8 million in potential add-ons with 2 years left to run on his deal. Palace reps have, according to sources, been made aware of Arsenal's interest in Eze, who's open to a move. Sources insist Palace would demand the full release clause should any club formalize their interest, but whether that stance softens towards the end of the window remains to be seen. It ain't me saying this, but Chelsea winger Nodi Madueke is another player Arsenal have considered, particularly given his versatility. But a move for the 23-year-old does not have universal backing at the... Hey, brother, whoever is working at Arsenal that's making sure this ain't universal backing, whether that's Arteta, Berta, the cleaner, James Ellis, it ain't got universal backing from Arsenal fans in it. Forget that. For once, we've already bought a goalie. We're going to buy another defender. We've already done the Chelsea thing. Can we just buy some certified players? Not every day try and find something in TK Maxx. Sometimes let's go to, I don't know, Regent Street, Oxford Street. Let's buy some designers, some Rodrygo, some Gyökereses and all of those kind of things, man. This is interesting. BBC Sport understands Arsenal will look to sell one of their more established first-team players inside the next 12 months. A lot of players could fall under that established thing. I spoke about this yesterday. I did say Tomiyasu, obviously he's gone. That could be Saliba, obviously with the contract running out. That could be Kai Havertz. It could be Odegaard with his form. It could be Martinelli. Technically, that could be Trossard. It could be anybody with that. But Martinelli has been extensively linked with a move away this summer, and it is understood that isn't something the club are ruling out. William Saliba is a long-term target for Real Madrid, but Arsenal are trying to extend the French international's contract. If Arsenal do sign a new centre-back, Kivior could be deemed surplus to requirements as Zinchenko is available. How Kai Havertz's role evolves in the next 12 months after the introduction of a new centre-forward will make for interesting viewing too. There are understood to be several clubs in Germany keeping a close eye on Havertz's situation heading into next summer when he'll have 2 years left on his contract. But I know you know, Bull. Several German clubs, though. I'd imagine, just as a fan, whether they buy him or not buy him, will throw their hat into the ring. I'm sure Leverkusen. We're not going to get 65 million back, but Leipzig, Dortmund, them kind of clubs there. Do we really? Maybe I don't know. Do we really buy that? Them kind of clubs, I don't know. The use of the word several, I'm like, what's all that? The Dortmund have the facilities. You can make a case of that, but how much are we going to want? Because we're not going to get anywhere near 60 million, but we should be trying to get 40, whether he's worth it or not. We're going to end up with Dominic Calvert-Lewin, allow it. Our biggest problem is putting the ball in the back of the net. We never have anyone there to put in the back of the net. Nobody does that better in world football than Gyökeres. Just get him. I hear it, but harder than that. Get what works for Arsenal. Big names and big wages need to stop. We just put the wrong players on those, man. Madueke, Rodrygo. Yeah, you don't want us to have good things. You can't be an Arsenal fan. But how can Berta override Arteta's advice and bring a player Arteta doesn't want while he takes the blame when the club fails? Not possible. Arteta has control. I'm Jesus. Allow me. I'm injured. But when I play, you see the quality. If you play. And if you lose your moderation status, is peak. Because like Jose said, let's see where they play, if they play, how they play, or whatever he said. Nico Williams 10-year contract. He's probably laughing with the bread, though. And he will go Barca one day. But I'm not going to lie. Unless Nico Williams does it, he's a good player, but unless he does an absolute mad thing in world's football. If you're Barca, if you're Arsenal, if you're anyone else, surely you're tired of this shit, man. You don't know what he wants, man. Don't know what he wants. Arsenal are understood to have made headway in potential move with Gyökeres. We've gone over that kind of already, people. We know we've got a genuine interest in Rodrygo. It'd be interesting to see who we sell in that regard. Ben Jacobs on Eze said he's keen on the move. There's a clause there, 68 million all in. If Arsenal make an approach, I think there's a more realistic chance that they do bid. The likelihood is that they will go a little bit lower or offer a different kind of structure. The clause is payable in installments, but it is relatively difficult because some of the money goes to the player, some to Palace and some to his former club. So the breakdown of the add-ons, the payment structure, the money required, and the moving parts of what Eze means for everything, It comes down to it. But if you want Eze, if you want Rodrygo, if you want Sesko or Gyökeres, you've got to pay the fees, innit? The interest became concrete about 10 days ago. Arsenal was serious about Eze. I'm expecting a bid. The first bid never gets accepted. I'm expecting that bid to be below the release clause, and I'm expecting that bid to be within the next 2 weeks. In that meeting at the weekend, there were senior football people from Arsenal pitching to Eze's camp. This was not just we like you, we might go for you. This was a discussion about numbers. Team news and ticks. Eze, that is a deal Arsenal could get wrapped up in the next hour if they wanted to. Eze is desperate for it. There are rumours, I don't know where from, that Palace are willing to do a deal under the release clause. Ben Jacobs has said Sesko, Gyökeres, who knows, maybe Watkins, they're all being leveraged against each other. Arsenal want to do one thing, sign either Gyökeres or Sesko at 70 million euros. Berta will be saying, if we don't get Gyökeres, we'll go for Sesko. If we don't get Sesko, we'll go for Gyökeres. I bet you neither Leipzig nor Sporting know the true reality. If neither come off, you've still got Watkins, but I think Aston Villa, because they just sold their women's team to satisfy PSR concerns, will be really bullish and hold out for 60 plus million. Boy. Trossard has signed with a new agent, people. DH Sports and Entertainment Agency will be in charge of his future. So maybe there'll be some clarity. Understand Arsenal had new rounds of talks for Noni Madueke as a player could be open to the move. Nothing advanced yet in terms of club-to-club approach or direct negotiations, but Arsenal maintain contact separate from Eze deal, says Romano. Just forget all of that. Xabi Alonso and Real Madrid are opening to letting Rodrygo leave if an appropriate offer comes. Arsenal have held preliminary discussions. That's being reported at The Athletic. In relation to Mascara, he's rejected Valencia's renewal offer. Arsenal's second bid was more than 10 million euros, but did not reach the 14 to 50 million and was rejected. Valencia want 20 million euros. El Nasser to bid 85 million euros for Martinelli. Arsenal not keen on selling, but could be persuaded. We've gone over Eze, Madueke, Tomiyasu has interest from Saudi. Gabriel Heinze has joined Arsenal's backroom staff and replaced Carlos Cuesta. Was a defender, is quite passionate. Were linked with him in 2024. And I could say just by looking at him on YouTube and stuff and how he behaves as a coach, Gary Neville's going to chat shit about him. He's another passion merchant, people. James Ellis has become our new technical director. So we got a new sporting director and technical director. Tregonozzi, the Juventus guy, is not expected to be appointed. Suggestion is that striking a deal for Sesko has proved significantly harder than expected. We've made headways over a move for Gyökeres, and we've reached out to Fingy's camp. But it's all conflicting. On Nwaneri's new contract or potential contract stuff, we can go over that. We have covered this in a video I released today. We all know he signed a new deal in 2014. We all know that there was a bit of a struggle to get there. The relatively short-term deal, short-term left on the deal is not necessarily a cause for concern. Nwaneri and his rep went close to the wire before committing the first pro contract. Amid interest from other clubs, Nwaneri's participation in England's under-21 successful European campaign is now over. Perhaps with that commitment out the way, talks may accelerate soon. Nwaneri wants to stay at Arsenal. He's from the area and has a deep connection to the club. His development is his priority, and that has been well managed at the Emirates Stadium. Although his playing time diminished at the end of the season, he still made 37 first-team appearances across the course of the campaign, and an impressive amount of faith for any teenager. For a club, however, having such a gifted player so close to the expiry of his contract induces a little anxiety. After making such an impressive impact in the first team, he scored 9 goals and made 2 assists in all comps last term. He's a highly coveted talent. Chelsea and City aggressively tried to get him before he signed the scholarship. There is known, and Arteta's played him this season, and he made his debut the 2 years ago, and he played he came off the bench against West Ham. There is known to be interest in him from the Premier League and abroad. Naturally, if you're the German clubs, Dortmund and all of that, we've seen with Bellingham and the rest of them, you can see what's going on there, innit? So it is what it is. If Nwaneri doesn't sign a new contract, he can discuss terms with foreign clubs from January 2026. Arsenal consider this an issue that needs addressing swiftly. They do not want to sell Nwaneri, even if any revenue recouped for the academy player would represent a significant windfall in their calculations for PSR. Something we'll have to give. Sources close to negotiations speaking anonymously to protect relationships are optimistic talks will result in a renewal, but until it's agreed, the concern lingers. Fair enough, people. And we know we want a number 9. We know we've been linked with Anthony Gordon, Nico Williams, Rodrygo, Madueke. Separately, Arsenal hold an interest in Eze, Morgan Rogers, and Morgan Gibbs-White. So we want some English Premier League proven players, I guess. And you'd imagine Nelson is going to leave. You never know what could happen with Trossard. Again, apparently Rodrygo remains in the mix. It remains to be seen if landing one of these players would require Arsenal to sell one of their existing wide options. The Athletic reported on Thursday that Real Madrid are open to letting their Brazilian forward leave this summer. Martinelli is admired by Bayern Munich. He has a deal until 2027. We hold an additional deal in his a year in his deal. He's happy in London, but money talks in it, really and truly. Trossard, meanwhile, has been in talks with Arsenal over a potential contract renewal. Much may depend on what Arsenal ultimately pay for a centre forward. The club recognise that if they are to achieve all their aims in the market, they may need to be creative. So yeah, Morgan Rogers, Morgan Gibbs White, Eze have all been linked. Arsenal see Wanyeri's future in central areas rather than on the flanks. Regardless, the arrivals of Madueke, Eze, or another attacker could reduce playing time, and we need to, think about what we're going to do with Max Dowman to come. So be very interesting to see exactly what we do. Mehmet Ali has left Arsenal's under 21s and his head coaching role to become part of the backroom staff at Brentford. Can't begrudge that. Everybody wants to make something of themselves. He's done well at Southend and MK Dons and Arsenal's academy. Now got an opportunity in the first team somewhere. Jason Ito's being interviewed for the director job at Newcastle. Edu left to do his thing at Newcastle. At Nottingham Forest. Carlos Cuesta's gone to Parma. It is what it is. It doesn't surprise me that the vast majority of the squad the squad and the coaching staff have been together for 3, 4, some 5 years. There's a bit of change, and we saw Jack Wilshere cut as well early in the season. You never know. Don't want to upset myself with the Madueke stuff. So yeah, Gabriel Heinze is joining our coaching staff, people. So yeah, Arsenal value Eze below his £68 million release clause. There's been no bid to date, but Arsenal's interest is serious in advancing. Eze is understood to be keen on the move to Arsenal. I've mentioned James Ellis's promotion. Both Real Madrid and Xabi Alonso are open to Rodrygo leaving the club this summer. They will not stand in the way if a suitable offer is made. Arsenal have held preliminary talks with Rodrygo's camp. We've gone over that already. Tab Police, there's a method to the madness. We've gone over that with Eze. We've gone over Martinelli. We don't need to keep going over that. We've been linked with Xavi Simons before, people. Apparently, the challenge is complicated. It was a complicated deal when Leipzig bought him. Apparently, the total outlay Leipzig spent is 80 million, and it was guaranteed a fee of 50 million. But if he leaves too soon, a lot of those add-ons would not be paid. There's a window of opportunity, so I'd keep a small eye on Arsenal, but I don't want to get anyone overexcited needlessly. I like him, bit hot and cold. You can't rule out anyone. Team News and Tix said the original thought was that Leipzig wanted 83 million. I think the structure is as complicated as a fee, because I think that 83 million was all up front, essentially like a release clause. And if you want to break it down, Leipzig wanted more money. Arsenal always thought Leipzig would budge. Obviously, don't want to go to that amount, and it's been stuck. It seems as if it's hit a bit of an impasse. Leipzig's point of view is Arsenal haven't put their best foot forward. I think Arsenal's point of view is there's no point with the numbers they're speaking. They're not putting any foot forward. From him being our preferred target, I would say it probably now looks unlikely. It's not completely off or dead, but it probably won't happen. Seems a game of chicken. And yeah, we've gone over David Ornstein reports previously. At this point, we know Real Madrid are open to letting Rodrygo go. Coaching staff for Arsenal admire him and believe he could be an option on the left and the right on their attack. He's featured in discussions internally since the latter part of last season. And we were apparently targeting 3 players in the attacking ranks, and apparently Eze's part of that. It'd be nice to see, but seeing's believing. Man United, Man City, and Real Madrid apparently are all tracking Sesko's situation in case Arsenal fail to get the deal done. Berta hopes to finalise the signing of Gyökeres. The player wants to join Arsenal and is now close to agreeing personal terms with the club. Sporting have so far been uncompromising, but Berta hopes to settle on a fee slightly below 70 million euros. That was being said by L'Equipe. We've gone over that already. But then sources have apparently told Court Offside, where Sesko is concerned, that we might reach a compromise on 75 million euros. Arsenal don't want to pay over 70 million for Sesko. Arsenal waiting to see if Leipzig change their stance. Leipzig probably know other people will get interested. So yeah, we're struggling with that, and we'll have to see what goes on. We're still being linked with Bradley Bacola off the left-hand side. We've been told that he doesn't necessarily want to leave PSG, and that Luis Enrique still considers him a key part of their plans, but it's easy to link us with everybody, if I'm honest with you. So I won't take too much stock in that, if I'm completely honest. Thomas Partey is being linked with Atletico Madrid, Barcelona, and Juventus, as well as the MLS, Saudi, and the United Arab Emirates, as he's now left Arsenal Football Club. Bundesliga clubs are monitoring Kai Havertz's situation. Who are these Bundesliga clubs? Because Leverkusen and Bayern Munich, cool, but we're probably cheating the game. Who else? Who else could there be? Yeah, Mehmet Ali's left, as we've gone over that already. So bit of a changing of the guard. Apparently, Crystal Palace want Kivior, people, and that could be used as a make weight in any deal for Eze. Would you lot do that? I'd do that. According to Give Me Sport, Crystal Palace are exploring whether they could receive a player from Arsenal in return should an agreement for Eze be reached. The idea of an informal swap deal is being floated, but it's not yet clear which players Palace could target. Kivio, Nelson, Lakonga, Rob, hey, we got stuff for you, man. We got stuff for you. We definitely have stuff for you. Arsenal want signing on best possible terms. Talks now ongoing to find an agreement. At this point, we probably will get over the line with Mascara, but we probably know that one's going to drag. Arsenal will not make a move for Rodrygo till August, giving them time to balance their account. Player not spoken to Jabi Alonso yet. Arsenal willing to pay 90 million euros. We all know Nico Williams has extended his stay at Athletic Club or Athletic Bilbao until 2035. His release clause has been increased by more than